Hey, welcome back. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560. The Answer. I am joined today with my co-host, Jim Leahy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you for tuning back in. I say thank you because that commercial break is a long commercial break. I've listened to it
There's
before.
a great commercial on there about an IRS.
Why am I not on there? Why am I not on there?
Oh, it's an accident. Oversight on my part.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just also want to say, if we do not answer your IRS questions on this show, which we very well might not, remember, visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com, your IRS hub for your financial woes. And also call Open Tax Resolution 312-664-6649.
I'm chuckling because Debbie is making
Did
eyes.
she make faces?
No, she's making eyes, though.
I am merely using expressive facial expressions
she's
to go
involved in the
along
show.
with Jim's
That's right.
excitement about the hub. ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
I've had like 3 cups of coffee today, and I slept till like 11 o'clock, which is oh, man, that was nuts. That was awesome.
What segment are we on now, Jim?
It's the blog. It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
It's in a guide noir, like some Sheila here.
So, the blog segment this week, we have a blogger. Do you call yourself a blogger?
Well, call me anything you want.
Well, I'll do that when you're gone. But I mean, I was just wondering because
sometimes I do.
Because it is a blog thing that you do have a couple of blogs out there.
I have 2. Yes.
I guess they're called. I always say it's a
they are blogs.
You're a writer, but you have 2. So let's talk about. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
Where you're from? What do you do? What did you do? So let's talk about that. Where are you from?
Chicago, born and raised.
Where? That's like
I'm sort of I was born in the north side of Chicago near Wicker Park. My dad took a job south, and they bought a home. This is like mid 50s, I guess. They bought a home near Midway Airport, and then
where'd you go to high school?
Brother Rice.
Mm-hmm. Nice Catholic school.
Yeah. And then
we're big fans on this show about the Catholics. We love the Catholics.
Then I went to college and a couple different colleges. Back then, it was a lot easier to transfer from school to school. Nobody cared. And I wound up in the Chicago Police Department.
Uh-huh. How long were you Chicago Police Department?
29 plus, almost 30 years.
Oh,
well, thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
Where did you? Where was your? Where were you most of the time? Or?
I spent the first almost 10 years on the near south or near west side. It was the Marquette district. It was actually one half of the district was Little Village, the other half was Lawndale. So then I moved to the near west side, working around
patrolman.
Yeah, and did other things. And I did that for a few years, and then I got into forensics, and I did forensics for about 14 years.
Well, I as most listeners on the show know, I have a lot of police officer friends. I like their perspective on things, especially the city.
Exactly, of course.
I think they have a different. They have a real view of the way the city.
I think
to say, yeah.
It's when you work out there every day, you're sort of like in the largest, best social science lab in the world. I mean, I don't think the academics, I call them fuzzy-headed academics, who never leave their ivory towers, they don't know. And when you do this, we are. It's like applied social science.
Well, I agree that they have an idea about what, or they tell us all how it really is, but they really don't know what it's like because they're not out there.
No, they work with their little numbers and their little statistics, and they, if they had to walk through one of these neighborhoods,
on the show we talked a lot about. We've seen the city change a lot. Give us your perspective. Talk a little bit about how you've seen the city change since you started as a police officer, even before that, because you've always lived in Chicago.
Well, we have a large influx of people over the years coming into the city. I went through what they called when the city was in its rehab phase, they would call it, because it was cheaper to rehabilitate houses than it was to build. The cost per square foot was cheaper to rehab. Now we're going through the gentrification phase where whole neighborhoods are not just we're not just rehabbing or repurposing, we're tearing down and literally building from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a whole different. Look at River North, for instance.
River North is a perfect example. But even if you go further, look at Logan Square. Logan Square is one of the hottest real estate neighborhoods, and now they're building higher buildings. You never saw high buildings in Logan Square. Mm-hmm. Wicker Park is as congested.
But that has to do with more with the city not allowing it, right? They didn't allow those big buildings out in this.
Right, but now they're being allowed.
Yeah,
because
that changes everything.
First of all, some of that land was vacant for a long time. So if you have vacant land, they're utilizing it. Mm-hmm. They're putting in that one building at North Milwaukee and Damon. They're repurposing that into a hotel because Wicker Park and Logan Square, which is almost next door, tourists want to go there. So now they're putting a hotel in. Mm-hmm. I mean, you never saw this before.
Well, you mentioned River North, and I lived in River North for a long time, and I used to be able to walk from Erie Street and Dearborn, almost a straight line to Loyola University. I went to Loyola.
Right.
So it was right through because they tore down all those buildings because they all became vacant, and now there's 30-story buildings in each one of those.
50-story.
Yes.
I mean, a friend of mine's got a beautiful penthouse suite at the top of, I can't think of the address. It's Ontario, but it's
Ontario.
Ontario.
Okay, but they have that building on Terry.
Yeah, he's right across the street from the Redhead
bar. I know what it is.
But I mean, so it's a whole different thing. And you've seen other changes, when you go on the near north side. They used to call Rush Street the Viagra Triangle. They still do, but it's a misnomer because now it's everybody who goes there. And a lot of the business people, it's where you spend other people's money, you spend your boss's money.
One of your blogs, though, I didn't talk about it because I want to talk about where people can find your work.
Sure.
Because what you're kind of different as a former police officer or a retired police officer, not former. That you're a photographer.
I'm a photographer.
You have a blog called The Cooking Cop.
Cooking Cop.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Because one thing about the gentrification is a lot of the great restaurants, the smaller restaurants, they're not there anymore.
I talked about this with somebody else and a few other people. We remember the diners.
Mm-hmm.
You got good food, cheap, and now everything's upscale, even the diners. And part of that is because the rent's going. A woman put a diner in Logan Square, what she thought was a diner, I guess. She lasted about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't. Her prices were too high. People.
The one thing about diners is it's good food, but it's got to be cheap.
It's got to be cheap.
You got to go there.
Cheap. And there were other kinds of restaurants. I mean, that ethnic restaurants or American restaurants where, all right, the next step up from a diner.
Do you talk about that on your blogs? You blog about restaurants and things like that?
Once in a while I do. I've done stuff on diners. I'm always looking for cheaper places to eat. I'm a real advocate now of going out to the neighborhoods. And
trying to find a neighborhood.
Just throughout your experiences through the restaurant, what's your favorite restaurant out there? Like, what is the one that's like, you got to go here and eat this food?
Oh, man. There's about 3 or 4 of them.
Okay.
Mean, it's just, it depends on the kind of food. Because I don't have a favorite food.
Okay.
And some of my favorite restaurants, most people wouldn't go in. There's a little hole-in-the-wall joint on 18th Street where I go for goat soup.
Oh.
Okay?
Ooh.
Now, nobody would walk into this place,
Those are always my favorite joints.
Yeah, but it's just, they make a really great goat soup.
Okay.
I wanted to join in Chinatown once, and the little Chinese girl looks at her mom and says, "Mom, he's not even Chinese."
Hey, thank you. Yeah, it happens. And I find joints by accident like this.
Can we find those favorite restaurants on your blog?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want, I'll send you the links.
TheCookingCop.com. TheCookingCop.com.
Right.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, remember, thecookingcop.com if you want to get Mr. Bellas over here, his favorite restaurants, also some of his
recipes
and everything.
Pictures. He takes pictures of great food.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, a local attorney and a former local Chicago cop. Can't go wrong. Open Tax
Lifelong.
Solutions. 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the commercial break on AM 560.
The Answer.